you, members of parliament, because we have nowhere else to go except him. That's why we are calling upon him to visit all of you in your parliament, so that he may agree with us that you reject this bill. Amen. Because there is nothing good in it as of now. Because if you were to amend it, maybe you will just erase it. And so we are praying for you. That the Lord may visit you specially to redeem Ugandans from this patronage and enslavement of Ugandans to become helpless and useless.
Chair.
Thank you very much.
Chair.
Thank you, Mama. We'll leave it at that.
We have our parliamentary group for the women, and we've been there 4 years actually without activities and without being spoken to. And so I invite you, I'm not an executive in Iwopa.
Parliament in this country. I wanted them to, usually I talk there, but I was so happy when I submitted this memoranda. I had thought that the hurry in which you were not going to call us. So when you called us, I was very happy. I don't take it as a joke. I take it, I consider it very highly, because the way you behave these days as a parliament, you could as well have ignored us and said, let's take what is written. That's what we are fearing. But now that you allowed us to come here, I don't take it for granted. I want to thank you and my brother, my big you are not big brother, you know I'm big sister. But I'm glad you know the word you used. I said that is me. When you said we would be stupid, I said I clapped. I said very good, because that's the word I would have used. But he used it. For me. And so I want to say that for us as Ugandans outside there, we cry and mourn for our nation. And when you came out with this bill, the hurry, Lukwago called it fast tracking. Me, I'm not good in those English. I speak the local one. Me, I said the hurry, the speed with which you were running with it. Created an impression in our hearts that there must be ill intentions behind the bill. And that's why we all raised and said, no, enough is enough. We must talk for ourselves. We must discard the fear and come out. Because some of us, the word of God says, if the one in is greater than the one in the world, why should I fear? Now, having said that, thanking you for allowing us to talk to you, since you are representing the whole parliament, we want to appeal to you. We want to appeal to your heart, to your emotions, to your conscience, to know that Uganda is for all Ugandans. All Ugandans. I don't want people to say the opposition said this, the other opposition. When it relates to Uganda, the law that is being made, Ugandan citizens should be central to that law. Whatever law, whatever policy, whatever things, whatever procedure, your focus should be Ugandans as human beings, not Ugandans who are in the other party or the other party. The other parties come and go, but Ugandans live. Uganda is for Ugandans. Put the central at the center of your heart as you go to make this law. Really, you are not hearing from, you all know, each of you knows what this law will make. It seems to be aimed at particular specific individuals, but in the end, it will cover all of us. And I want to conclude by saying, for you, many of you are young people. You were not here when President Museveni and the NRM came in. When they came in and Uganda was low in the ditch, I can tell you and assure you that the civil society organizations, the NGOs that we created, the ACFOD, you women who are here, if ACFOD did not exist, and what it did, traversing the whole nation, if FIDA was not there, if UNET was not there, if the other finance credit trust, we all rose up and we worked for the government and we supported the government. Many times I used to go as NGO, but because of my mouth, the permanent secretaries would say, since we don't have enough money, when we send Matembe to those international or regional meetings, she would speak like she's speaking for 10 people. And yet I was NGO. NGOs, without NGOs, I'm telling you, every nation, UK, Europe, everywhere, NGOs play a very big part in empowering citizens and promoting them forward. Now, when you all decide to make sure you make a law which is targeted NGOs, and I have an example I'm telling you. We used to have CEDU, Citizens Coalition for, I think you are with us, Citizens Coalition for Electoral Democracy, which we formed, and it was helping Electoral Commission and so on. The moment Miria Matembe, because she doesn't support your NRM, the moment she became a board of directors, that important organization which was helping with elections was shut down. Many women NGOs are shut down. I'm telling you, you may be new people, you don't know where Uganda came from to be where you are to be leaders. We picked it somewhere, but civil society and NGOs were very, very crucial in empowering citizens, in raising these women you see, and promoting Uganda. Please, as you pass your law, please take away this law. After all, forgive me for saying this, after all, the sovereignty of Uganda was sold long ago when you engaged yourself in heavy debts which are supposed to be paid by our grandchildren, by our children. The sovereignty, you are slaves to other nations where you borrow money. Now what sovereignty are you now relating to sovereign in Uganda here? Go and fight the debt and free Uganda, and the sovereignty will be there. Please don't shut up and close Ugandans. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
But the sovereignty of the people is not threatened by foreign interests only. So if the bill wanted to operationalize the provisions of Article 1 of the Constitution by upholding the sovereignty of the people of Uganda, it shall provide for both clusters.
My name is Sarah. I have been a teacher at your school for the last 6 years. My day begins in the classroom, but it doesn't end there. I give my voice, my patience, my passion in shaping the future of our children. And when I go home, I am a mother. I continue with my work at home while my baby sleeps.
Domestic threats and foreign threats. Now the domestic threats against the sovereignty of the people of Uganda are not captured here. So in other words, the law is focusing on protecting the interests of Uganda as against the interests of foreigners. So the bills you have benchmarked, the democracies you have benchmarked, the instruments, they protect the interests of their countries against foreign interests. They don't purport to protect the sovereignty of their people against foreign interests. Because the interests of Uganda are different from, are not necessarily material, the interests of Ugandans. So I don't know whether that point is very clear. we have not seen any clause here that speaks about domestic threats to the sovereignty of the people of Uganda. And there are so many, they are widespread. The will of the people has been overthrown several times in elections, in economic policies, education, all spheres of life. The threats are there, they are real, they are actual against the sovereignty of the people of Uganda. This is what ought to be protected by Parliament if you are to operationalize Article 1, which emphasizes that the sovereignty of the people is supreme. So we shouldn't be talking about Uganda, but the sovereignty of the people. 2, foreign interests are not defined, and this has been, I think, addressed in several fora. You cannot criminalize promotion of foreign interests which are ambiguous, which are not defined at all. And it's not this committee which is going to be established in the Ministry of Internal Affairs that is going to register agents of foreign interests, which will determine which ones are foreign interests and which ones are not. The bill also talks about foreign policy. When you look at clause 9 and clause 10, they simply talk about the principles that will guide Uganda's foreign policy, but they don't define what amounts to Uganda's policy. So who is going to determine Uganda's policy and what amounts to foreign interests? Which body is going to determine that? So if I am going to appear before the chairperson of that committee on peace and security, are they going to first assess and say, okay, what you are going to register here is foreign interests, so go ahead. Or personally, before I pick out the forms to go and seek for registration, how do I establish that actually I'm representing foreign interests, which are not defined? So that is a fundamental issue. Again, when you look at that same clause 10, which talks about the foreign policy, the principles are also vague in clause 10. They are vague. Mr. Chairman, they are bound, they are susceptible to manipulation. That rather clause 9, promotion of national interests of Uganda, respect of international laws and the treaty obligation, peaceful coexistence and non-alignment, settlement of Who has determined this?
My dear friends, from my sweet home of Africa.
Where do I find them? Is it a reproduction of the principles set out in the preamble to this constitution? I am saying no. Because the principles of national policy and state policy are well articulated in the constitution. You are not about to come up with a new set in a subsidiary legislation. I'm sorry to call it subsidiary in terms of constitutional law. So the third, and before I wind up, Mr. Chairman, this clause 6, which criminalizes provision of services that are considered to be a prerogative of government. Clause 6 excludes those services provided for in Schedule 6 to the Constitution. I don't have the luxury and time to read all those provisions. But the point I wanted to make, Mr. Chairman, they are rendering this country extremely difficult to get support from good Samaritans who would wish to come and offer services. Because Schedule 6 is widespread. I mean, is broad, sorry. Schedule 6 is quite broad. It provides for a litany of services where you will have to seek government approval. I will pick out one example. When you look at paragraph 27 of Schedule 6 in of the Constitution, it talks about matters to do with health. Well, they may be talking of maybe police or whatever, but health. I'll just for example, as an anecdote. There is a policy right now in this country that members of parliament step in to offer medical services to their respective constituencies where government has failed to provide the same. The ambulance system being run by members of parliament. It's a policy in this country. I'm sure a majority of the members of parliament here have got ambulances in their constituencies. And now this law says, if you were to come up with that policy of offering services which are ordinarily a prerogative of government, a mandate of government, under Schedule 6 of the Constitution, you must seek cabinet approval. If you don't, you'll have committed an offense. So immediately after passing this legislation, MPs will be committing an offense to offer ambulance services to their constituents without cabinet approval. That's an absurdity. It talks about health, education, it talks about so many other things. It's terrible. It's dangerous, Mr. Chairman, for you to proceed with that. The second last now, Mr. Chairman, definition of an agent of a foreigner. I'm afraid my construction of this particular clause, if it is passed in this current form, all of us who are seated here, including you, one or the other, you are covered under that particular clause. Many of us, in the way we have operated, we are agents of foreigners. Mr. Chairman, I don't want to take a lot of your time, but just let me briefly, as I articulate this issue, means a person who acts as an agent, representative, employee, or servant, or any person who acts in any other capacity at the order, request, or under the direction or control of a foreigner or of a person, yes, a foreigner or of a person, any of whose activities are directly or indirectly supervised, directed, controlled, financed, or subsidized by a foreigner. And a foreigner is the one or the other includes even citizens who are domiciled outside Uganda, or lawyers who are representing clients who are non-residents here. I have seen a number of lawyers here, including my senior here, I'm sorry to mention this, Honorable Katuntu, and others who are seated here. All of us, one or the other, we are representing foreign interests. On our team as PFF, Mr. Chairman, we are already worried, and we want to go on record on this. Dr. Kizza Besigye, you know, is incarcerated and is facing a trial right now as we speak. And his team comprises of lawyers who come from outside the jurisdiction. Actually, the head of our legal team, the legal team for Dr. Kizza Besigye, who is the leader of SEPS. You have had members of SEPS, Honorable Afrogut, Honorable Wakando, and others. So the head is Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who has spent 527 days as we speak today in jail. The leader of the team is Martha Karua. She is domiciled in Kenya, and she's a resident of, she's a non-Ugandan. But the law permits her to come here and get a special certificate and practice in a specific matter. And we complied with that. The Law Council processed her PC, and it is valid. So once this law now is passed, she will be required to go to that committee before, in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, to register afresh. Yes, she is a foreigner who is practicing here. And the law says, okay, let me put it differently. The law provides for a foreigner who comes here to do that kind of business. And myself, I have a law firm where Martha Karua is attached. So in this particular case, I am an agent of a foreigner. I am an agent of a foreigner called Martha Karua, because the law requires that for you to be allowed to practice here as a foreigner or a person from a different jurisdiction, you have to first be attached to a particular law firm. So as we speak today, for purposes of handling Dr. Chiza Besigye's case, Martha Karua is a member of Lukwago and Company Advocates. So I am an agent of Martha Karua. She is a foreigner. So I'll be required to register. And many of you, it's a problem. I've already satisfied the law. There are layers of legal processes we have to go through. So we are saying, Mr. Chairman, that is an absurdity which you are legislating. And I want to conclude by a matter of procedure. Just a matter of procedure, Mr. Chairman, that the way the bill is being fast-tracked is really worrying to us, Mr. Chairman. You can imagine even when we invited us here at 10 and we had to wait for this long. Now, when you gave us a slot, we had people complain that, oh, why? Why don't you take the natural process so that the bill is processed in a normal way, in an ordinary way? So that we come here, like one day, you have one group, because right now I'm rushing to finish, yet I needed enough time, ample time to thrash through this and then be able to make a coherent presentation. But we are being stampeded to rush through this bill, Mr. Chairman, yet it's very, very important, and it touches on the foundation of our Constitution, the foundation of this country, that is the existing constitutional order. We ask you, Mr. Chairman, if possible, you put this bill aside. Our call is that, Mr. Chairman, this bill should not be processed at all. You leave it. Then you continue with other business. Concerns are addressed. Would we support the bill? That's how I sum up the question he has raised. Mr. Chairman, we are saying this bill is incurably defective. And the Honorable Nsibambi knows it, with all due respect. If you have an instrument of this nature, which you cannot, polish up, which you cannot, where panel beating cannot help, there's only one solution. Because if you can impress it upon the Honorable Kaindo Tafiro or government for that matter, to have it withdrawn, they go back to the drawing board. That's the. I'm afraid you will end up nowhere. Because right from the preamble, that is the memorandum, to the last clause, there are issues which you cannot address. So we are saying this bill is incurably defective and is incapable of being polished one way or the other, panel beaten. So, Mr. Chairman, this is where we are calling upon Parliament to tread carefully. And I want to be on record that one way or the other, we shall all be victims of this particular legislation, including the members of Parliament, if they legislate it in the current form. Because what he has cited here, it's not actually restricted to agents of foreigners, but says a person I don't know why he picked out one Vasalirwa, but a person can mean anyone. I know what he's meaning, what he's talking about.
He's your friend.
He's my friend. So, Mr. Chairman, that's how absurd the situation is, and we invite this committee. I remember when there was this bill, Mr. Chairman, of Honorable of Mitiana, Honorable Richard Lumu. The Speaker is on record in the House and said, if majority have rejected the bill, what business do we have as members of Parliament to proceed with the same? Let's throw it in the dustbin. So do the same, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is where we are calling upon Parliament to tread carefully. And I want to be on record that one or the other, we shall all be victims of this particular legislations, including the members of Parliament, if they legislate it in the current form. Because what he has cited here, it's not actually restricted to agents of foreigners, but it says a person. I don't know why he picked out one Vasalirwa, but a person can mean anyone. I know what he's meaning, what he's talking about.
He's your friend.
He's my friend. So, Mr. Chairman, that's how absurd the situation is, and we invite this committee. I remember when there was this bill, Mr. Chairman, of Honorable of Mitiana, Honorable Richard Lumu. The Speaker is on record in the House and said, if majority have rejected the bill, what business do we have as members of Parliament to proceed with the same? Let's throw it in the dustbin. So do the same, Mr. Chairman.